Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravi Jakacharja Asto Tarasata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravi Jakacharja Asto Tarasata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Namacharja Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prayam Sikao Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai Sri ISKCON Mayapur Ki Jai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vachayani Nirvisesha Sanyavadi Paschata Desha Tarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So good morning. Thank you all for coming. Today we're going to talk, I'm going to make some attempt to praise Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. I was realizing last night and again this morning how impossible that is for me. How can I praise such a devotee? So for that I have begged empowerment from Sri Sri Radha Madhava, Srila Prabhupada, all the assembled devotees. I'm begging some empowerment to... is it on? Maybe it's me. See, Rameshwar Prabhu knows. It's better when he can't hear me. So... No. Is it better now? Can you hear? Huh? Everyone? Could be louder. How's this? Jai. Let's see if I have enough voice to raise what little voice I have. The years are taking the voice away. So I'll do my best. So, as I was saying, I find it, for me, very difficult, impossible to, how can I praise Srila Bhakti Siddhanta? Because of, he's a ray of Vishnu. He has so many qualities, I just don't know where to begin. So, I was going to start with some praise from Srila Prabhupada on his guru. And then I'll read his biography. I always find it very wonderful when Srila Prabhupada praises his guru. It's very, very sweet, very wonderful. So, Srila Prabhupada says, when Guru Maharaj was speaking, at least my brain was puzzled. Everyone laughs. Even he would speak in Bengali. It was very difficult to understand. He was speaking from a very, very high platform. But I wanted to hear him. That's all. Even I did not understand it. That he appreciated. Everyone laughs. He appreciated that this boy does not go away. He hears. Actually, that was my position. In the beginning, I could not understand what he was speaking, but I wanted to hear him. That's all. I was very much anxious to hear him. That he marked, and he was kindly pleased on me. That, quote, he wants to hear. He does not go away, unquote. That was my policy, that, quote, let me hear. Even I do not understand. Let me hear, close quotes. That's all. Yes, actually, I did not understand in the beginning what he was speaking. So, Bhakti Siddhanta's writing is not very easy to understand. Yes, but we should try. Read and read again. And simply that vibration will help us. That's all. It is transcendental vibration. Not that everyone will understand, but if you simply give oral reception to the vibration, that will make him advanced. Not exactly that anyone has to understand it. Yes, just like a man is sleeping and somebody is calling him. In his sleeping condition, he does not understand. By calling, he gets up because that vibration is there. Not that in his sleeping condition he is understanding what is this sound that is coming. So, similarly, we should give reception to the transcendental vibrations made by Krishna from his bona fide representatives. That will make us awakened, not that we understand everything. This is Srila Prabhupada speaking December 24th, 1969 in Boston. So, with your permission, I will read some biography of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. He was born of one of 10 children born to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a great Vaishnava teacher in the disciple line from Lord Chaitanya himself, while living in a house named Narayan Chatta, just near the temple of Lord Jagannath in Puri. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was engaged as a prominent deputy magistrate and also served as the superintendent of the temple of Lord Jagannath. Yet, in spite of these responsibilities, he served the cause of Krishna with prodigious energy. While working to reform Gaudiya Vaishnavism in India, he prayed to Lord Chaitanya, quote, "Your teachings have been greatly depreciated, and it is not in my power to restore them," close quote. Thus, he prayed for a son to help him in his preaching mission. When, on February 4th, 1874, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was born to Bhakti Vinod and Bhagavati Devi in Jagannath Puri, the Vaishnavas considered him the answer to his father's prayers. He was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck and draped across his chest like the sacred thread worn by brahmanas. In the material world, when the baby is born with the umbilical cord around the neck in this fashion, it's considered inauspicious. It's danger because sometimes the baby could choke. But the Vaishnavas could see, no, this is auspicious. Why is it auspicious? Because it's happening to Bhakti Siddhanta. It's happening in a devotional manner. So, what could be inauspicious to the non-devotees is auspicious to the devotees. 6 months after the child was born, Bhaktivinoda arranged for his son to undergo the Anaprasana ceremony with the prasad of Vimala Devi, and thereafter named the boy Bimal Prasad. Around the same time, the carts of Jagannath, of the Jagannath festival, stopped at the gate of Bhaktivinoda's residence and for 3 days could not be moved. Can you imagine that? Lord Jagannath stops his cart right in front of your house for 3 days? You know that when that happens, you know something is going on. Yeah, thank you. Can you open it for me? So they couldn't be moved for 3 days. Oh, thank you. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife brought the infant onto the cart and approached the deity of Lord Jagannath. Spontaneously, the infant extended his arms and touched the feet of Lord Jagannath and was immediately blessed with a garland that fell from the body of the Lord. So you can imagine, he's 6 months old. The cart stops in front of his house for 3 days. So his mother decides, I'm going to take my child. I'm going to see if I can get my child up to Lord Jagannath. So she does. And immediately, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur reaches out and touches the Lord's lotus feet. And the Lord gives him a garland. This is a good sign, isn't it? Seeing this, the priest chanted the name of Hari and told the child's mother that the boy would certainly become a great devotee one day. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur learned that the child's garland had fallen on his son, he realized that this was the son for whom he had prayed. He had prayed to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is reciprocating. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, father of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. We're going to talk a little bit about Bhaktivinoda. Bimal Prasad stayed in Puri for 10 months after his birth and then went to Bengal by pelican on his mother's lap. His infancy was spent in Nadia district's Ranagat, hearing topics of Sri Hari from his mother. Bhaktivinoda and his wife were orthodox and virtuous. They never allowed their children to eat anything other than prasad, nor to associate with bad company. One day, when Bimal Prasad was still a child of no more than 4 years, his father mildly rebuked him for eating a mango not yet duly offered to Lord Krishna. Bimal Prasad, although only a child, considered himself an offender to the Lord and vowed never to eat mangoes again. This was a vow that he would follow throughout his life. By the time Bimal Prasad was 7 years old, he had memorized the entire Bhagavad Gita and could even explain its verses. His father then began training him in proofreading and printing, in conjunction with the publishing of the Vaishnava magazine Sajjana Toshani. In 1881, in the course of excavating the construction of the Bhakti Bhavan at Rambagan in Calcutta, a deity of Kurmadevi was unearthed. After initiating his 7-year-old son, Bhaktivinoda entrusted Bimal with the service of the deity of Kurmadevi. On April 1, 1884, Bhaktivinoda was appointed the senior deputy magistrate of Sirmapur, where he admitted Bimal in the Sirmapur High School, where Bimal was a mere student. When Bimal was a mere student in class 5, I guess that means 5th grade, he invented a new method of writing named Bikanto. During this period, he took lessons in mathematics and astrology from Pandit Mahesh Chandra Chudamani. However, he preferred to read devotional books rather than the school books. In 1892, after passing his entrance examination, Bimal was admitted to the Sanskrit College of Calcutta. This would be at age 18. He was admitted to that Sanskrit college. There he spent considerable time in the library studying books on philosophy. He also studied the Vedas under the guidance of Prithvivedar Sharma. As a student, he continued many thoughtful articles. He contributed many thoughtful articles to various religious journals. However, he did not continue with his college studies for long. In 1897, he started an autonomous Chatushpati Sanskrit school, where from monthly journals entitled Jyotirvid, Brihaspati, and many old treatises on astrology were published. In 1898, while teaching at Saraswati Chatushpati, he studied Siddhanta Kaumundi under Prithvivedar Sharma and Bhakti Bhavan. at Bhakti Bhavan. By the time he was 25, he had become well versed in Sanskrit, mathematics, and astronomy, and he had established himself as the author and publisher of many magazine articles and one ancient book, Surya Siddhanta, for which he received the epithet Siddhanta Saraswati in recognition of his erudition. In 1895, Saraswati Goswami accepted service under the Tripura royal government as an editor for the biography entitled Rajaratnakara, the life histories of the royal line of the independent Tripura kingdom. Later, he was entrusted with the responsibility of educating the Yuvaraj Bahadur and Rajkumar Brajendra Kishore in Bengali and Sanskrit. After a short period of time, Siddhanta Saraswati took up the responsibilities for inspecting various ongoing activities in the royal palace for the state of Tripura. However, after finding envy, malice, and corruption surfacing in every corner of his inspection, Siddhanta Saraswati very quickly developed an aversion to state affairs and gave notice of his intention to retire to Maharaj Radhakishore Manikya Bahadur. The Maharaj approved of Siddhanta Saraswati's plans for renunciation and awarded him full pay pension. However, after 3 years, Siddhanta Saraswati also renounced his pension. With his father, he visited many tirthas and heard discourses from the learned pundits. In October 1898, Siddhanta Saraswati accompanied Bhaktivinoda on a pilgrimage of Kashi, Prayag, Gaya, and other holy places. At Kashi, a discussion was held with Ramamishra Shastri regarding the Ramanuj Sampradaya. After his talk, Siddhanta Saraswati's life seemed to take a turn. His inclination towards renunciation increased, and he quietly continued to search for a guru. When Siddhanta Saraswati was 26, his father, understanding the mind of his son, guided him to take initiation from a renounced Vaishnava saint, Gaurkishore Das Babaji. Gaurkishore Das Babaji was the embodiment of Vairagya and was very selective about giving Diksha. He lived beneath a tree near the bank of the Ganga and wore the abandoned clothes of dead bodies as a waistband, kopi. Generally, he ate plain rice soaked in Ganga water, garnished with chili and salt. Sometimes he utilized discarded earthen pots. After properly washing them, he would cook rice in them, offer it to Krishna, and then take prasad. Following the advice of the father, Siddhanta Saraswati went to Gaurkishore Das and begged to be accepted as his disciple. Gaurkishore replied that he would not be able to give Diksha unless he received the approval of Lord Chaitanya. However, when Siddhanta Saraswati returned again, Gaurkishore said that he had forgotten to ask Lord Chaitanya. Sounds like he's putting it off, doesn't it? I think he is. On the third visit, Gaurkishore stated that Lord Chaitanya had said that erudition is extremely insignificant in comparison to devotion to the Supreme Lord. In other words, I realize that you're very erudite, but Lord Chaitanya says that's insignificant. Hearing this, Siddhanta replied, that since Gorkashore was the servant of Kapata Chudamani, the supreme deceiver, hence he must be testing Saraswati by withholding his consent. However, Siddhanta Saraswati remained firmly determined and remarked that Ramanujacharya had been sent back 18 times before he finally received the grace of Goshti Purana. Thus, he too would wait patiently until the day that Gorkashore would bestow his benedictions upon him. Seeing the commitment of Saraswati, Gorkashore was impressed and gave him diksha in the blissful grove of Godrum and told him to preach the absolute truth and keep aside all other works. In March 1900, Saraswati accompanied Bhakti Vinod on a pilgrimage of Balasore, Remuna, Bhuvaneshwar, and Puri. As instructed by Bhakti Vinod, Saraswati gave lectures from Chaitanya Charitamrita with profound purports. Through the initiative of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the flow of pure bhakti began to inundate the world. After Lord Chaitanya's disappearance, a period of darkness ensued in which the river of bhakti had been choked and practically dried up. The end of the period was brought about by the undaunted preaching of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He wrote a number of books on Sudha Bhakti, Siddhanta, and published numerous religious periodicals. He inspired many to take up the service of Lord Gauranga and instituted various Namhat and Prapana Ashram, Gaudiya Mutt centers. In 1905, Siddhanta Saraswati took a vow to chant the Hare Krishna mantra 1 billion times. Residing in Mayapur, in a grass hut near the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, he chanted the mantra day and night. He cooked rice once a day in an earthen pot and ate nothing more. He slept on the ground, and when the rainwater leaked through the grass ceiling, he sat beneath an umbrella chanting. You can imagine sometimes if any of you have been here, most of you, or many of you have been here during the rainy season, it just rains for a while. But he wasn't impaired by that. It wasn't like, oh, it's raining, I better do something to get comfortable. He just got under an umbrella and continued his chanting. In 1912, Manindra Nandi, the Maharaj of Kazim Bazar, arranged to hold a large Vaishnava Samilani in his palace. At the specific request of the Maharaj, Saraswati Goswami attended the Samilani and delivered 4 very brief speeches on Siddhanta Bhakti on 4 consecutive days. However, he did not take any food during the Samilani because of the presence of various groups of sahajas. After fasting for 4 days, Saraswati Goswami came to Mayapur and took the prasad of Lord Chaitanya. Later, when Maharaj Manindra Nandi realized what had happened, he was deeply aggrieved and came to Mayapur to apologize to Siddhanta Saraswati. During that time, Bengal was full of Sahaja sects, such as Aul, Baul, Kartabaj, Neda Nedi, Daravesh, Sain, etc., who followed worldly practices in the name of spiritualism. Siddhanta Saraswati launched a severe attack against those irreligious sects and did not spare anyone who deviated from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Even some well-known persons bearing the surname of Goswamis patronized these Sahaja sects during that period. Siddhanta Saraswati was deeply grieved to see these groups of Prakrita Sahajias in the garb of Paramahamsa Goswami gurus, misleading people. Thus, he completely disassociated himself and resorted to performing bhajans in solitude. During this period of solitude, one day, Lord Chaitanya, along with the 6 Goswamis, suddenly manifest before Siddhanta Saraswati's vision and said, "Do not be disheartened. Do not be disheartened. Take up the task of reestablishing Varnashram with new vigor and preach the message of love for Sri Krishna everywhere." After receiving this message, Saraswati Goswami was filled with inspiration to preach the glories of Lord Chaitanya enthusiastically. In 1911, while his aging father was lying ill, Siddhanta Saraswati took up a challenge against pseudo-Vaishnavas who claimed that birth in their caste was the prerequisite for preaching Krishna consciousness. The caste-conscious Brahman community had become incensed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur's presentation of many spiritual proofs that anyone, regardless of birth, could become a Brahmana Vaishnava. These Smarta Brahmins, out to prove the inferiority of the Vaishnavas, arranged a discussion. On behalf of his indisposed father, young Siddhanta Saraswati wrote an essay entitled "The Conclusive Difference Between the Brahmana and the Vaishnava," and submitted it before his father. Despite poor health, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was elated to hear the arguments that would soundly defeat the challenge of the Smartas. On the request of Madhusudan Das Goswami in Vrindavan and Vishvambarananda Deva Goswami in Gopibala Bhapur, Siddhanta Saraswati traveled to Midnapur, where pundits from all over India had gathered for a 3-day discussion. Some of the Smarta pundits who spoke first claimed that anyone born in a Suja family, even though initiated by spiritual master, could never become purified and become the Brahminical and perform the Brahminical duties of worshiping the deity or initiating disciples. Finally, Siddhanta delivered his speech. He began quoting Vedic references, glorifying the Brahmins, and at this time, the Smarta scholars became very much pleased. What a sweet tactic, huh? Let me start by praising you before I destroy you. Exactly, yeah. Oh, my dear sir, just see. Oh, do you work out? Do you go to the gym every day? Well, no. But when he began discussing the actual qualifications for becoming a Brahmana, the qualities of the Vaishnavas, the relationship between the two, and who, according to the Vedic literature, is qualified to become a spiritual master and initiate disciples, the joy of the Vaishnava haters disappeared. Who is this boy? How did we let him in here? He won our trust. And then he delivered his message. He defeated us. Siddhanta Saraswati conclusively proved from the scriptures that if one is born as a Sudra but exhibits the qualities of a Brahmin, then he should be honored as a Brahmin, despite his birth. And if one is born in a Brahmin family but acts like a Sudra, then he is not a Brahmin. After his speech, Siddhanta Saraswati was congratulated by the president of the conference, and thousands thronged around him. It was a victory for Vaishnavism. What a day. Can you imagine this? Bhaktivinoda Thakur passed away in 1914 on the day of Gadadhar Pandit's disappearance. On the eve of his disappearance, Bhaktivinoda instructed his son to preach the teachings of the 6 Goswamis and Lord Chaitanya far and wide. He also requested that Siddhanta Saraswati develop the birth site of Lord Gauranga. Mother Bhagavati Devi disappeared a few years later. Before her passing away, she held the hands of Saraswati Goswami, imploring him to preach the glories of Lord Gauranga and his Dham, accepting the instructions of his parents as his foremost duty. Saraswati Goswami took up this task of preaching with intense enthusiasm and vigor. What a family. You know, it's mind-boggling to think of this incredible family. With the passing away of his father and his spiritual master a year later, Siddhanta Saraswati continued the mission of Lord Chaitanya. He assumed editorship of Sajjana Toshani and established the Bhagavat Press in Krishnanagar. Then, in 1918, in Mayapur, he sat down before a picture of Gaurkishore Das Babaji and initiated himself into the sannyas order. At this time, he assumed the sannyas title, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was dedicated to using the printing press as the best medium for large-scale distribution of Krishna consciousness. He thought of the printing press as a brihat mridanga, a big mridanga. The mridanga drum played during kirtan could be heard for a block or two, whereas with the brihat mridanga, the printing press, the message of Lord Chaitanya could be spread all over the world. Rohini Kumar Ghosh, a nephew of Justice Chandramadeva Ghosh of Calcutta High Court, and originally a resident of Bola in Barisal, now Bangladesh, decided to renounce the world and engage himself in Hari Bhajan. With this purpose in mind, he came to Kulia in Nabadweep, where he led the life of a Baul. However, he despised the practices of the Sevadasis prevalent amongst the Baul sect. One day, Rohini Ghosh happened to come to the Jogapit where Saraswati Goswami was lecturing there. Rohini was delighted to see the luminous appearance of Saraswati Goswami and fascinated by his words. Late that night, after spending the whole day listening to Saraswati Goswami's teachings, Rohini returned to his Baul Guru's ashram in Kulia. Without taking any prasad, Rohini took rest, contemplating the lessons on Sudha Bhakti, which he had heard that day in his dream. In his dream, Rohini saw a Baul and his consort appear before him in the form of a tiger and a tigress, which were about to devour him. Trembling in fear, Rohini desperately called out to Lord Chaitanya. Suddenly, Rohini found himself being rescued from the clutches of the tigers by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. From that day, Rohini left the Baul Guru forever and took shelter at the feet of Saraswati Goswami. Ananda Prasad Datta, the elder brother of Saraswati Goswami, suffered with severe headaches shortly before his disappearance. On the day of Ananda's disappearance, Saraswati Goswami remained by his side all through the night, chanting Harinam.